But I want to go for a legal perspective to Vikash Singh. I love the color of your shirt and how bright you are. So nicely done there. Because can you explain to our viewers what this requires legally? From what I gather, it requires a constitutional amendment which will require 2/3 majority, at least 5 articles of the Constitution, Article 83, Article 85, 172, 174, 356 need to be changed, which have different aspects of how elections are held and how soon you can call the next election. What would this entail from a legal point of view?
So, Rahul, you're right, 83 will have to be amended, 172 will have to be amended.
So, 83 is the term of the Lok Sabha will be 5 years from the first date of sitting. 172, which you mentioned, is Legislative Assembly will be 5 years from the date of sitting. But go on.
So both these articles talk of unless earlier dissolved. So it will have that unless earlier dissolved will have to be, deleted. And it will have to provide for a fixed term, and it will also have to say that there will be a first term which will be specified, which will probably have to be 24. That on 24 all the elections will happen, and then they'll all go on for 5 years. But the real, working of this will happen by the amendment to the anti-defection law, because the moment you have a weak anti-defection law which permits a person to resign, so defect from a particular political party, and lose his seat and come back into the same assembly or the same Lok Sabha. So that disqualification is not qualified as to what is the disqualification. Unlike in the disqualification for a criminal, offence, there is a 6-year period specified for any conviction for more than 2 years. Here the disqualification doesn't say that this disqualification will be for 1 day or for 1 year or 5 years or 6 years. According to me, and it has been, according to me, wrongly interpreted by the Supreme Court, that you can come back to the same assembly or the same parliament after having been disqualified for having...
No, so if there's one election, one nation, for whatever reason, take Madhya Pradesh, Scindia left, the government came into minority, now the Madhya Pradesh government of Kamal Nath is no longer in majority. What happens then? Is there president's rule for 2.5 years? Do they have elections midterm? No. If they have elections midterm, then what happens to the idea of one nation, one election?
So when you talk of the no confidence motion, the Law Commission in its recommendation has suggested that there will be not a no confidence motion, but there will be an alternative expression of giving confidence in somebody else. So it will not be a no confidence simpliciter. The no confidence will have to have a positive recommendation for some other alignment to take over in place of the government being shunted out. So it can't be a simpliciter no confidence. So if there is a no confidence motion, and if there is no alternative, then there's no confidence.
No, so apart from 2/3 majority in the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha, from what I gather, this also needs to go to the states. And half the states at least need to approve this, because many of the states aren't BJP run. Why would a state like Karnataka, where Siddaramaiah and Shiv Kumar just came to power, or West Bengal under Mamata Banerjee, which won a very tough election, why would they ever agree to this?
According to me, Rahul, it doesn't require to go to the assemblies, because that is only if it is part 4 of, part 5 of chapter 4 or part 6 of chapter 5 and chapter 1 of part 11. So only in these parts of the constitution you require to go to the assembly.
So you're saying they can bring this law, it will be law, it doesn't need to go to the states?
It doesn't need to go to the
That's
states.
your reading, because I've heard that they do need to go to the states.
No, I don't think so, because the requirement of going to the states is only for certain articles when they need to be amended, and 83 and 172 are not included in those. And the moment you provide for a fixed term in those 2 articles and say that there can't be any dissolution of the assembly or the parliament in between, then that I think should seal the issue, which will not require these. So 2-3 things. So one will be the anti-defection law to be amended. The second will be that there will be no confidence motion. It will have to be always a no confidence motion along with a confidence motion. And thirdly, these articles will have to specify a fixed term. And once the fixed term is specified and the record date is set, that 2024 will be the first election, then thereafter every 5 years, 29 and 34, etc., the election to the entire country will be held. That, according to me, is the way forward as far as
You know,
doing this is concerned constitutionally.